Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be a little different. I was very touched. Some people had asked me to just do a simple video on fairies. They've become very popular. They are in the angelic realms. They are beings of light, and some people had wanted to know about the fairies. Now I can tell you that I come from a Celtic or Irish perspective. I am an Celtic witch, so the Celts are very dear to my heart. I've talked about how the unicorns were once the horses for the Dianes, which were the first fairies in Ireland, and they eventually transformed into the light beings from the Dianes, which was the last fairy race before man came in and they ascended to the clouds where they had come from. Basically, I have been, I guess, working with fairies. I've always acknowledged them. But I think the simplest way to get in touch with fairies, they can be very helpful. There's kitchen fairies, flower fairies, pet fairies. I mean, they are involved in anything just as angels are. For instance, I always ask the garden fairies to watch over my flowers and vegetables. I ask the fairies to watch over the squirrels, the bunnies, the birds, and all of the flora and animal life I have in my backyard. When I leave the house, I ask the house angels to help. When I do something in the kitchen, I call on the kitchen fairies. And basically, if you want to start working with fairies in a way, just ask. I mean, it's almost as simple as that. You know, I think sometimes people get lost in pomp and ceremony where, oh, I can't do this. I need, you know, like for instance, a candle, and I need some incense, and I need some herb, and I need this, and I need that. When basically the universe just listens to your heart. Now, the only thing I would caution is if you call the angels, ask for the angels and the fairies of light and love. Don't just say, I attract the fairies into my house, because what happens is there are mischievous fairies, just as there are mischievous angels. And there's a Seelie court and an unseelie court. You don't want any unseelie fairies. Not necessarily that they're bad, but they're more pranksters and tricksters, and tend not so much to listen to the humans that might start interacting with them. They're more of, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and isn't it funny I made you trip type of thing. So basically, all you can do is let the universe know and just ask the angels, you know, angels of light and love above, I invite you now into my life. I ask that you guide me and be with me and join my other angels and guardians to help me lead a path of higher intention and walk at a higher vibrational pace. That will do it. And I generally had one fairy that was attached to me, and I was informed while I was doing or I was watching a video with Dianes Tarot, and she did answer my question during one of her membership. That is an amazing membership, by the way. She has various levels, and I've got to tell you that she's working on 16 or 17 different video angles, and she does do one on the fairies, a more in-depth thing. But I asked her a question yesterday, and she had noticed, she's like, oh my gosh, she goes, there's a bunch. So in working on developing this video, apparently I've attracted more by explaining to you how to attract fairies. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. They're angels. You just call on them. The universe listens to your heart. You know, when you're doing other things like magic, or if I'm out and suddenly I feel that there's someone who's not of the highest intention, someone who's ever, and I do work part-time as a cashier in a store. So there are some times when a customer is approaching me and I know darn well this is not a good person. Whatever is walking with them, yeah, is really bad news. So I just quickly say, I'm like, you know, fairies and angels of light, protect me. That's all. So they just become part of your everyday life and integral. You don't have to set a special time to call on them. Call on them all the time. And when you're driving, talk to them. Bounce something off of them. Because in a way, you're conveying your wishes. And when it comes from your heart, that is what the most important thing is. What are your intentions? And I mean, there are things you can do to attract the fairies. I have a very good friend in Minnesota. I've been friends with him for 25 years now. Basically, his whole house, above his fireplace, he put in brackets and shelves and made an entire fairy living space. I mean, it's like several levels of 10 feet long boards that angle up into above his fireplace, and there are nothing but fairy homes and trees and a whole place for the fairies to live. He calls them into his house. You can leave a couple shiny pennies. You don't have to do anything fancy. I have a couple of statues that stand as a homage to the fairies that have chosen me to be my companions and my guides. But you just have to acknowledge them, and it's more of your heart. So just let the universe know, angels of light or fairies of light and love, you know, please come into my life and help me. You know, just be with me and help me to achieve my soul contract or whatever it is that you need them to help with. I mean, there are kitchen fairies that can help you bake really well. You're like, I call the kitchen fairies to help me bake this cake or make this dish, or maybe you're making a new recipe that you've never tried before, and it's like, oh, please, kitchen fairies, help me. You know, it's as simple as that. So while there are formal things, and I would suggest that you go to Dianes Tarot, who does have several videos very in depth on fairies and angels. Like I said, that's an excellent membership. You can even see the video I did on unicorns, witches, and fairies on her channel. I did a live with her almost over a year ago, I think. So please, just let your heart be known to the universe, and make sure that you ask for the fairies of light and love. That is the only suggestion I would make, because you don't just want to say, I welcome the fairy. No, because you'll get the ones that are full of mischief. And while I don't believe they would ever do any serious harm, you just don't need that kind of energy crashing into your life. So as long as you ask, even for other unicorns, you know, just ask for unicorns of light and love, fairies of light and love, angels of light and love. Just ask from your heart. And there are things you can do, more things you can. A vanilla extract is good, or honey. You can do all kinds of things. I think the internet is a good place. You can look at fairy houses or fairy homes, or you can get one of those teeny tiny dollhouse tea sets and set up tea if you want to continually do that. You could put little mushrooms in by your plants, your house plants, or even in your garden, and ask them to help. So if you have any other questions, please send me an email at starfishmsw@gmail.com, or leave a comment below in this video. Again, I'm wishing you the brightest blessings for everything wonderful. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bright blessings.